Hi YouTubers, and I'm back for another YouTube video of what would have happened if this were in real life. RhinoTMRTGamePlay series. Now, I know I was waiting super long, well technically you are, and it's like I couldn't come up with like a perfectly good idea. It's like I've been keeping on trying which ones there is, and how it's like very obvious and all that, like, you know how it is and all that, so yeah, it kind of does make sense. And to see it's perfectly fine, yeah, so I guess that works out. Now, of course, this would be the what would have happened if the WallE 2 movie were in real life. Okay, so we cut open to the beginning. Okay, so the beginning is very different. Everybody is back on Earth. WallE, Eve, Mo, and all the other robotic droids and humans are all going perfectly well. Life is going good. And yes, it's all going fine, which of course is what I wanted to do. That is until they get a transmission from an alien planet and an alien world that easily found the axiom that they have destroyed all the other axioms and all but the one that is on Earth right now at the end of the movie, which is exactly what I'm trying to say. And then the axiom gets hacked. Most of the humans die, and then eventually the axiom that they were on flies away. This is where the plot begins. So WallE, Eve, Mo, and the captain of the ship, I forgot his name, and of course the two humans that were close friends to WallE in the first movie would eventually go on this journey / adventure to free the axiom and bring back the axiom and avenge the axiom's creator's work. Now technically there was actually one feature that the alien planet in the alien world, they hacked the axiom and used an old feature that was never used, that was actually hidden from the axiom that was on Earth, and that's actually what they actually had, like guns. So the axiom creator eventually had a rival which technically came up with that idea. So yeah, that kind of makes perfectly good sense. So now we fast forward where WallE, Eve, Mo, and of course the captain of the ship, and of course the two humans that were close to WallE, they eventually into space, all wearing space suits. They all can breathe. They all can live. Everything is going perfectly fine. Then of course later they would be able to avoid asteroids and all that. That pretty much narrows all that. They easily sleep on the moon, which kind of makes perfectly good sense. And then there's the part where they meet the new villain. Now the new villain actually has no name. The new villain is technically just an alien planet in an alien world that's actually talking. And with the big army that could put an end to everyone on Earth that came from the axiom, you know what I mean, that makes perfectly good sense. So yeah, so I mean, it's kind of very different. So this is the part where they meet the villain, which of course is kind of very different. And I was couldn't think of any other names. So the villain of the movie says, the villain of WallE 2 eventually says, so the talking alien planet and the talking alien world eventually says that the reason why they've been destroying all the axioms is because their world was so special. Then their world is because the human planet or human world, aka Earth, was very special to everybody around the galaxy except for their alien planet and alien world. So technically, this is kind of why they've destroyed all the axioms, all but one that has actually escaped them, and they went into hiding, which technically is the reason why Otto kept them away from Earth. The reason why they kept them away from Earth was to never be spotted by the evil alien planet and evil alien world that will try and destroy them until when there's no life from Earth left, which just kind of makes perfectly good sense. So yeah, I kind of figured, hey, why can't I do this? So yeah, that kind of makes perfectly good sense. Then they eventually get captured and then WallE, Eve, Mo, and the captain of the Axion, I don't remember his name, and of course the two humans that were close friends to WallE, they eventually gets put in jail. WallE eventually is sad from this, so is Eve and Mo. And then Captain of the ship is, but then the two humans that were close friends to WallE actually tell the four of them that they can actually break out of there. So yeah, so then once again, WallE, Eve, and Mo, they all break out of their prisons along with the captain of the Axiom, and of course the two human friends that were close to WallE, which of course I don't know their names. I can't keep track of any of their names. I'm just gonna call it as it is. Yeah, and then they would eventually get out of their prison cells. They would easily steal a spaceship from the evil alien planet, an evil alien world. And then eventually they would find out, and then they would eventually find one alien from there was actually good, and it's actually just like the six of them. So the six of them actually recruit one of the aliens that's actually not like everyone on that evil alien planet and evil alien world, which is actually perfectly fine. Yeah, no, there's no name for that. I just figured I would call it like I just figured I would call it something like it. Okay, I just call the evil alien planet and evil alien world some Earth, some Earth. I don't know. SOMRTGH. That's kind of what I'm trying to spell out. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. So they break out of there, and they break out of their prison in the evil alien planet and evil alien world. All six of them, including the alien that betrayed its own evil alien planet and evil alien world. They all break out of there. That pretty much narrows everything down. Meanwhile, everybody on Earth is actually trying to relax what they can, because it's kind of very obvious. But then WallE eventually gives a speech about how they cannot be WallE and Eve. They eventually give a speech about how everyone on Earth can actually protect themselves. They need to fight back in order to protect themselves. Against the evil planet and evil alien world called some Earth, some Earth, some Earth. Yeah. So yeah, eventually there's the big battle scene. Then there's the big battle scene in WallE 2, and that pretty much narrows down everything. They eventually do all that. They eventually protect themselves. That is until when there is one sad moment. So eventually, just like when WallE sacrificed himself in the movie WallE, it's actually Eve who sacrifices herself in WallE too. So yeah, that kind of does make sense. Yeah, but I mean she does, but technically she revives back due to her battery actually being recharged, which technically that's happened for like no reason, which technically that is. And then they all eventually make the evil alien planet and evil alien world, also known as some Earth, some Earth, surrender to them, and then they eventually get sent into prison. Everyone is all happy. and that pretty much, and then WallE and Eve, they both get married, which kind of makes perfectly good sense. And then we cut forward. And then we cut forward to when they have children, which technically narrows down everything. They both have children, and then they eventually tell them about how they were once like not fear about how they were fearless robotic droids, about how they could not find how they could easily go on different, how both WallE and Eve would go on different adventures. That would basically narrow down that both of them, they would both have their own children, and eventually that is the two human friends that were close to WallE both get married as well. They both get married as well. The captain of the captain of the Axiom, the former captain of the Axiom, well, technically not former, because they both freed back the Axiom, because he technically freed the Axiom back from the evil alien planet in evil alien world known as Summerf. He became the godfather of the two closest friends the two human friends that were close to WallE, and then they had children, and then the captain of the Axiom became their children's godfather, which technically makes sense. And then just like in the movie WallE, everything always goes forward. Everyone's all happy. They all have families. They all have children. That pretty much nails down everything. And then the movie ends with, and then just like in WallE, the first WallE movie, every planet is now shown as a freed planet. Every planet is easily shown is just like Earth. There's lots of humans on that planet. There's no aliens or anything like that. And that was what would have happened if the WallE movie 2, if the WallE 2 movie were real. Now, sadly, we'll never get to see this because Disney and Pixar never decided to create, Disney and Pixar never were going to make a sequel to WallE, but I think it probably would have been perfectly good. And the idea of an entire planet and world going into hyperspace, aka light speed, is actually pretty good, if I do say so myself. Yeah, and I mean, it kind of would make sense. I mean, I was thinking about a different villain, and for WallE 2, I was thinking about that, but then again, it would take very long time, so yeah, I already envisioned what this will all be right in here. Yeah, and I guess that all works out well in the end. And that's it for today. Peace out. Bye-bye.